What's up, everybody? Once again, we are back in the building. It is Donovan with Don of All Trades. So, today's topic, we are talking about gun control. Gun control is a sensitive subject. So, we're going to start out. Today's guest is the usual.
Just Deidre.
And so, we're going to debate and talk about gun control and how it affects the community and the pluses and the minuses of the situation. So I'll start out and let's talk about the negatives of gun control.
Oh, we're going to start with the negatives now.
Yeah, the negative.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that being said, I would like to say, yeah, I believe we should have some form of gun control. Basically from, let's say, a black man's perspective.
I didn't know you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I have to
I
be
had
honest.
to. I have to be honest. So, first of all, I believe most of the rights, most black men were never supposed to have rights in the first place.
No.
And the Constitution necessarily didn't apply to us, in
At
the
all.
past. Even today, that's usually why we get treated the way we get treated.
Well, we just recently got rights, actually, in 1960.
Yeah, basically the
around
60s.
In the 60s somewhere.
And even then, it wasn't basically just, etched in stone as far as what rights were given to us.
Well, they said that we were complete. We had the rights of any other citizen. Although, systematically, it's obvious that there are some shortcomings.
Well, okay, so those shortcomings would be, let's talk about a lot of times when you normally see a black man with a gun, say, basically a test that I've seen done in public where they show a white guy with an AR-15 strapped across his back and they show a black guy
Walking down the street.
Yeah, and they show the differences in the reaction in the based on the police. And the white guy basically just gets asked questions. They don't draw their pistols on him or anything. They don't call for backup.
Don't bring 10 cops.
Yeah, and with the black guy, they basically drawed guns, put him on the ground, handcuffed him until they found out whatever they need to find out. Basically, if he wasn't a criminal. So that's an assumption that black men are usually automatically a criminal in the eyes of the United States.
That is a deeper conversation about systematic disparities. I would say racism, but they're just real disparities in the correctional system.
Right.
And that started right after slavery, because it was just another way to enslave.
True. And I believe that that's still considered a way to enslave us. So let me just say this. Normally, when you see people at the shooting range, you see mostly white people.
True. Those are facts.
They are training. Most of the time, black people are not. And you usually don't see families out there doing the same thing. Like, they train their kids and
at a very young age.
At a very young age, and most black people don't. 9 times out of 10, they usually tell their kids to stay away from guns. And I don't think that's a good idea over the long haul, because most black people need to learn how to hunt. They need to learn how to shoot for their food. They need to learn how to protect themselves.
I didn't realize this was a conversation about black and white and
well,
guns.
It's not.
But, I mean, this is a good topic.
But this is another one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of black people with guns, because of the gun control situation.
Right.
And I'm getting to that.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
So, most of the time you see most black people have a pistol, with an extended mag, which I also would like to say it's not an extendo clip, which is what most people call it.
It's a magazine.
And that's pointless as far as I'm concerned.
Don't call it a clip either, guys.
Yeah, it's not a clip. It's a magazine.
It's not a hair clip.
What's the point in having a 30-round magazine within a Glock, and you don't necessarily have the capacity to actually put those rounds on target because it's out of control? You take the
Some people are pretty good with a pistol.
Yeah, but you take the control away from the weapon when you actually put an extended mag, and that's usually
is it because of the weight distribution?
It's the weight distribution, but it's also the way they are able to hold it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But that's usually what you see in the black community. You see a lot of white guys.
A lot of vanity.
Yeah,
guns.
It's the vanity. It's about, look at me, I have a gun. Versus those people that are actually training to use their guns the way they're intended to be. It's a tool. So,
it's true.
Gun control in itself, in my opinion, most people don't understand that you see a lot of Democrats basically pushing for gun control. And they get the people online with this just by saying, oh, look at this, in the media. And they're shooting up our kids and all the criminals, this and that. One thing you have to understand is criminals are not going to get rid of their guns, no matter what.
That's true.
Most of them have an understanding of the system of not having a gun, not being able to protect yourself. And that's usually why you see a lot of guys, especially in the hood, that have burners.
Yeah, they can get a black market type thing. Yeah, underground.
So, with that being said, most of you do need to understand that who are for gun control is that once the guns are taken out of your hands as a people, as a law-abiding citizen, then you have no way to protect yourself. And that leaves you open for pretty much anything.
Bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, well, knife to a gunfight, but think about this. And I'm going to make it as far as like a secondary issue for this. When somebody robs your house and you have no way to protect yourself, basically you and your family have no choice but to gang up on them. Throw pots, pans, dishes at them, or whatever it may be. So you have no choice or no way to defend yourself.
Paint that picture. Yeah, you're right. Even I know that you had an experience once where you saw how many people came into that lady's house that you saw across from your place.
Yeah, I mean, she well, they weren't home, thankfully. And it was 4 guys ran into this woman's house and pretty much ransacked it. And she wouldn't have had it. Thankfully, they weren't home. They were young college girls that lived there. 4 guys with guns ran in, and I believe if they were home, they pretty much would have gotten raped. And these guys, they basically went in there for chump change. I think they may have gotten a laptop and some purses to go sell, which what good is that? What good is that going to do you?
Hey. So
they just showed a sign of desperation. So there's no telling what else they may have taken at that time.
It's scary.
So I'm going to sit on that point.
Okay.
What's your point?
Well, you said a lot. So I actually agree with pretty much everything that you said, but the thing is that there is another side to this. So if you look at when you were saying, Democrats are pushing the gun control agenda, and some want complete gun control where we don't have any guns, confiscation even. So that is, I understand it. Not saying that I agree with it, but I understand how it's gotten to that point. Meaning, all these young kids that are getting murdered in their schools where they're generally supposed to be safe. Like when I went to high school, when I was in elementary school, middle school, I felt fairly safe in my school. Like I didn't think anybody was going to come and shoot up the place. But now these kids are coming to school and they're scared and their parents are afraid. So they don't know what the next step is. They know that people can easily get a hold to all types of guns in this country. And even though obviously it's a mental thing, it's an issue with that child, because I do believe that people kill people. Guns don't kill people. Guns are a tool. But the problem is, what do you do? And that's on that side. So what should you do?
Oh, well, there's not really much you can do in that situation because it's still going to happen no matter what. Because even if you have gun control and you supposedly check these people, most of the people that end up causing these problems get their guns legally.
Exactly. And that's what they're trying to negate, I guess. Right.
But yeah, and most people push for complete gun control, like they don't want any guns. But then that leaves just the police. So
And that's a
as
whole
you
nother
can
problem.
see that the police are not always on your side, and they take control. They get cocky. They get to the point to where they feel like, well, I have the power. And it's usually that same type of guy that will go get a gun in school to shoot up the school. The guy that was bullied, the guy that was never popular. A lot of those guys become cops.
That's true.
And
if you look at, the situation that happened in Houston recently with the guy, with the team, it was like a huge team of police who went into that man's house. And
Right.
I don't know how many police ended up dying.
well, this guy was a veteran, and they supposedly suspected this guy. They got a tip for this guy supposedly
Doing
was a meth
or-
dealer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a false tip of some sort, and they ran into this guy's house. He killed 4 of them with a .357 Magnum, which, of course, they'll probably tell you it was an AR-15 or some sort of a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
This guy was just skilled, basically. And they ran in, they shot his wife, shot his dog. What person would not lose it
If that happened.
if that happened? You see somebody kill your wife and your dog, your beloved friend, what
and
would
you
you
have
do?
no reason to have that happening in your house.
Right.
Anybody, kicking your door in and coming in is fair game.
With a no-knock warrant.
With a no-knock warrant.
So that
These
made
are
it
the
even worse.
issues that are creating those types of situations.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back to the solution. You said that you don't think there's a solution. There has to be some sort of solution.
Basically, stop teaching your kids, or not teaching your kids. That's the problem. Most people are just letting the internet and whatever raise their kids. The kids are too sensitive. The kids are shallow. The kids are, some of them are vain.
Oh yeah, like that kid in California who shot up the random people.
The college,
What was
because
he doing?
of the girls.
Girls
like him.
weren't into him, and he was a wealthy kid.
Yeah, and it was
His
like,
family was
dude,
rich.
you gonna kill everybody because nobody's feeling you? Like, it had to be something wrong with you, something about you that needed to change.
So you think there's a gap in parenting? Well, there is. I mean, that's
Definitely.
obvious. But the thing is that you can't create an immediate impact with that type of situation. It takes a lot of time to create a better level of values to helping parents parent their children, So it's not going to happen immediately. What I think should happen immediately really is, I hate to say it because I had a really great experience going to school, but hardening the school, and I know those schools with like metal detectors and a level of control. If you've ever seen Lean on Me, kind of that type of situation. I know he just locked the doors, kind of locked the kids in, which is kind of scary in and of itself. But he made the school less violent. So just having metal detectors and like some of the schools in Chicago that have really high rates of gun violence in the community, they don't have any gun violence in their schools.
Right.
They have gun violence outside their schools, of course, but the schools are protected and the kids are protected. And that is something that the government, I think, should really consider for all schools.
Yeah, I believe. Well, and let's talk about the people that you see planning and plotting. Let's say, to just commit mass terror of some sort. And this is one of the reasons that they feel like they want to take away AR-15s. Because they say it's the scary, black gun of all of them. The terror in
Oh,
itself,
my gosh.
the weapon itself of mass destruction. First of all, it still boils down to people. People kill people. The guns don't kill people.
It doesn't assault people on its own, and it's not called an assault rifle, guys. That's what the media created. It's called an
Right.
Armalite rifle.
Right. And most people say, oh, it didn't assault you on its own.
didn't.
And it's not an assault rifle until it assaulted somebody. So.
People kill people. People are the
Right.
ones with using the tools to kill people. So what is in the psyche that is creating these situations where children just want to shoot up? It's hate. I think it's perpetuating hate, just like at that church in, where was that? In one of those southern states.